Everybody, I'm Ethan.
And I'm Ryan.
This is the Magical Express,
where we bring the Disney magic to you.
Welcome back to another video of the Magical Express. We just want to thank you guys so much for the good response on our first two videos. And absolutely feel free to subscribe, like the videos, comment down below what you think about what we're talking about, and let us get involved. Get involved with us in this Disney community because we're really excited to see what comes from it.
We sure are. We want this to be a conversation. We want to hear from you guys, what you're interested in talking about, what you're wanting updates on. That's what we're here for, is to bring you that info.
And with that in mind, we are going to stay pretty much on topic with the rest of the Disney community and follow up with what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about Galaxy's Edge, who to watch on YouTube, who to follow on social media to really stay in tune with what's going on. And so now, a week apart, now we're kind of following those same people and some others and getting a good review of Galaxy's Edge, what to expect, what the initial reactions are. And so we're going to talk just a little bit about each part of Galaxy's Edge and what you can look forward to.
First things first, the overwhelming reaction has been, I would say, positive.
Pretty amazing
I think if we're talking big picture, talking theming, we're talking dining, we're talking interactions, it's getting an overwhelming good reaction. There are some people out there who have some negative things here and there to say, and there's some things that we'll comment on today as well that we definitely see as room for improvement. Sure. But overwhelmingly, it's been a positive reaction across the board, regardless of who you're listening to, whether it's on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc.
Just like you at home, we're excited about Galaxy's Edge, but we also want to be realistic. We want to give you the honest feedback we're seeing from the Disney community and share with you what the initial reactions are to Disney's Galaxy's Edge.
One of the big things overall that I think really had people excited about Galaxy's Edge was the immersion aspect of
Absolutely.
it. They really wanted to bring you into a new world. Pandora does a pretty good job of this overall, but Galaxy's Edge really aimed to take that to a whole new level. And so far across the board, what we're seeing is that has been successfully done. Whether that's the interactions on your quote-unquote data pad or your smartphone, interacting with different scanners or radio signals or towers, things like that, or if it's just walking around and seeing the characters walking around and interacting naturally with people in the park.
Like you were saying with Pandora, it's one thing when you're going into this new world of a movie that so many people watch. It's different creating a whole new world based off of one of, if not the biggest film series and storylines ever. And so that's really what got me excited, was how many true Star Wars fans are just loving being in that world. And we talked about it with Kylo Ren, Rey, stormtroopers walking around. There's not meet and greets. There's more of just general interactions. You're walking around, you're hearing them talk. They have their big presentations, I would say, around the ships there. But it's really like you are there. And even some people are saying it's like you're not even at Disneyland.
You're right. And taking that even further, it's very much the resistance against the First Order. And don't be surprised if you're walking in the parks to get stopped perhaps by some of those stormtroopers or by some generals. And they're going to check in on you. They're going to see what you're up to, what brings you to this outpost, what your reasoning is for being there, and really keeping the storytelling alive. But taking that a step further, I think that's actually where one of the first flaws that I've seen at least is, in that a lot of people are wanting to go and immerse themselves even further, and a lot of that is in the costuming and things like that. And Disney really has been kind of on the fence on what they're going to allow and what they're not going to allow. Going so far as to sell robes and such in the park, but then being like, hey, we know we sold these to you in the park for this immersive experience, but could you not wear those here? You can wear things that resemble Star Wars or that resemble these things, but we really don't want you being too close to our cast members.
Definitely an interesting kind of thing I think they're going to have to work out. And then you've already seen some of that, even with just the way they're doing wait times and the way they're blocking time. They're gonna learn from this. This is early. They're gonna see what works, what doesn't. I think kind of adapt.
But overwhelmingly, it has been from at least the reactions we've received, top notch from an immersion standpoint.
So the next things we're gonna hit on real quick are kind of the big things to see and experience in terms of the rides. In this case, the ride. What to eat, what to drink, and then also what to buy. So starting off, Ryan, the ride. Obviously, it would be great if the big ride was open and ready to go, but right now you just have Smuggler's Run. And right now, I would say George Lucas may have put it best. It is Star Tours on steroids. What have you heard from people who've experienced Smuggler's Run?
To me, the coolest thing that I've heard about the Smuggler's Run is you really do feel like you're part of the Falcon's crew. Each passenger has a different role that they partake in this mission that they're running, and so it really does engage everybody. Sometimes within mission space, for example, where it's a little more immersive, you're really pressing buttons, and whether you press those buttons or not, the attraction is going to run its course the way it's meant to.
It was a sad day when I realized I didn't have to use the joystick for us to not go underneath the top of the mountain there. But yeah, it's a big change where, based on how you see different parts of the ride. Based on how you and your team do, the ship's a little more destroyed in the end or more together. And I know that there's a crew member actually waiting at the end when you're given like a percentage, I think.
Yeah.
And they kind of say like, great job, one of the best, or ooh, you guys need to work on your stuff. So it really is a cool way to just, again, make you feel like you're actually there in Batuu, a part of the crew and a part of the Star Wars story.
And while we're on the topic of this attraction, it's important to remember that this isn't meant to be the keystone attraction. It is definitely one of the two that are meant to bring people in, but Rise of the Resistance definitely is the big attraction moving forward. So don't let this be your only vision of what this land is going to have to offer attraction-wise. There's something bigger coming yet.
Yeah, and this thing is being touted as new wave of Imagineering and trackless rides, and it looks pretty cool. They finally started releasing some of the inside pictures. We can already see where the queue is going to be forming, kind of that whole area right now, which they're being pretty smart about, just using that space to set up little kiosks and whatnot. But that ride's coming late 2019 is what they've said so far, but that's going to be a good one that you should definitely look forward to. Now, Disneyland would not be Disneyland if it weren't for the food.
You know that's right.
And so, looking at Star Wars and food, it's not your norm. This isn't hot dogs and burgers that you'd expect. You can't really throw that out there and call that great theming. And so what we're seeing so far is completely new take on food in the parks. And there are a lot to pick from. So we're just going to give you some of the places to get some food, some of the highlights that are coming out of it, and then the milk. We'll definitely talk about the milk.
First things first, the overwhelming favorite so far has been Ronto's Roasters. They are a sausage base, almost wrap in a sense, almost close to €1 it seems. Obviously we haven't tried them, so we can't give you an accurate depiction, but based on what we've seen, it's almost like a souped up hot dog, but based with that really great sausage. That seems to be kind of across the board the favorite when it comes to food. And definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, and that is the Ronto Wrap, I believe.
Or Ronto Wrap,
from
Ronto's Roasters, yes. Definitely want to check that out. Oga's Cantina is another big draw right now, especially from a beverages standpoint. It is geared a little more towards adult beverages, alcoholic beverages, but it does have drinks for all, as well as some snack foods there. The snack foods there haven't been getting the best of reviews.
I mean, if you want to pay $7.50 for some Jell-O with some Pop Rocks, you can.
Might as well give me some worms and dirt, you know?
Yeah, it's
a nice little Sarlacc cup.
It's the first real bar, if I'm not mistaken, first place selling alcoholic beverages, which isn't our cup of tea, but in Disneyland as a whole.
Yeah, and it's a pretty big jump for them.
I've seen it described as a mix of like a street bar and a bachelorette party, given that there's like pink, blue drinks and foam that makes your like lips numb. Weird stuff. I mean, they're going all out. The whole place, though, does have one cool feature that Star Wars fans, new and old, will appreciate if they've been at Disneyland, and that is DJ Rex. And that is Rex, the original pilot from Star Tours, who's
Captain
up
Rex.
there. Captain, pardon me. Who's spinning the discs, playing the music, and it's almost like an attraction of itself. Like, he interacts with the crowd, he interacts with the environment as the place shuts down and they need loud noise to get it going again. So it really is. I mean, every single store, restaurant, everywhere you walk, it is an attraction. It's something to see and experience.
In Oga's Cantina, while we're on the topic, is also somewhere where we've seen definitely some room for improvement.
Yeah, mixed reviews.
One of the biggest reviews that we've seen across the board as well is the fact that it seems to be much more geared towards adults. For a
almost
park,
to a fault.
Right.
Yeah.
For a park that prides itself on being family-friendly and inclusive for all, it doesn't seem to have much to offer for children. We've heard that the food and the drinks for children are just okay, and oftentimes, aside from DJ Rex, they're getting bored in there. So that's something to keep in mind if you're there with your family. And secondly, is getting in has actually been really difficult to Oga's Cantina itself. While you do have your allotted time to get into the park, they are capping off some of the lines for capacity. And Oga's Cantina, as well as the Lightsaber Workshop, have been really the two that some people haven't even been able to get in, even with their reservation.
It's like an e-ticket, but a restaurant,
right,
or a store.
And so that's something. Yeah, that's something we're hoping to see some improvement on, especially if they're going to maintain this reservation system. Yeah. If you have a reservation, you want to be able to take advantage of everything
that's there.
And right now, that's not the case. So hopefully, moving forward, that's some area for improvement for them for sure.
Rounding up the rest of the food there, we have Katsaka's Kettle, which is kind of their own spin on popcorn, kettle corn. It's been described a bunch of different ways. No one seems to have kind of the set, like this is what it is. But overall, Disney Food Blog said it's like a sweet, spicy, savory kettle corn mix. We have Docking Bay 7, which is the counter service. Nothing really I've heard that's really jumped out. I've heard something about the roast being pretty good, but again, nothing crazy. But finally, the milk. The milk is getting some pretty reviews. Is that fair?
I think is the perfect way to describe it. Nobody seems to love it. Nobody really hates it. It's kind of just there as an experience.
Yeah.
It feels like.
And Disney definitely did its due diligence making them vegan options with coconut milk and rice milk being the
Us
base.
lactose intolerant folk do appreciate that.
And us normies just don't care. But it's still great for you, you know? And they're both fruity in a sense. If you want to go on Disney Food Blog, kind of has a list of what is believed to be in each of them. But yeah, neither one has been viewed as a real home run. Consistency's a little odd, really thick is how I've heard it described. And so it'll be interesting to see if they tweak that a little bit. Maybe it changes as time progresses. But again, it's more of an experience. You want to say you did it. You want to go to the milk stand and be a part of it. But overall, you're probably not leaving there asking for some at home.
I know for a fact that when we're there in a couple months, we're going to try it just because that's what we're about. But it almost looks as if people are taking the slime from these YouTube slime channels and are drinking them. It doesn't look all that appealing right now.
Can't wait.
But you've got to do it.
It's Star Wars.
And that's
so you're going to go.
That's what Disney knows. They know you're going to try it.
Yep.
So we'll see. Hopefully in the fall we'll be able to give you a better impression. But we'll see. It seems to be a bit of an adventure eating.
That sounds right. So when it comes to spending your money on things that aren't food, I don't think there's ever been so many stores in one amount of space.
There are a ton.
I could try to list them for you, but I think there's like 8 or 9 when it comes to having a Resistance-only store, a First Order store, the Droid Depot where you can build your own or get the pre-made ones. But I would say the two that are being discussed the most are Dock on Door's Den of Antiquities, which is basically the very high-end merchandise. A lot of cool things kind of just up on the walls there. The store itself is an attraction with a full-on animatronic interacting with the environment. And then the other one is the Lightsaber Workshop. Now, Ryan, if I were to tell you you could build a lightsaber, but it would cost you $200, would you do it?
It's definitely something that's tempting.
That's a lot.
I'm not sure I would be willing to pay up $200 when I know I could get some other souvenirs and some other things from the parks. But just from seeing the experience itself, it feels like, yes, the quality of the lightsaber is second to none, really. Unless you're looking to pay thousands like you can online and get some of those.
I am not.
Very factual, very to the specifics that are available out there. The quality is great, but you're really paying for the experience where you're getting in a very small room with just a select few people and going through this process of building your own lightsaber, getting those kyber crystals and really making it your own. Is that experience worth $200? For us, probably not. For some of these diehard Star Wars fans who have been with it for decades, maybe. I just don't see us at this moment in time being something that we're going to do, but definitely looks cool if you have the resources to do that.
One thing I'd be interested to see, and I haven't heard any reports so far, but I'd be curious to see if you're allowed to go through that without making the purchase, if that makes sense. And the only reason I say that is you're going to hear over and over again the comparisons between this and the whole entire Harry Potter experience. And one of the cool things with the Wand Workshop with Ollivanders is you go through that without having to make a purchase. You still get to witness the magic that is the wand selection process. But at the end of the day, you choose if you want to pick one. And I know it's not as customizable, but you still get to experience it as a perk of your park ticket.
As much as I would like to see that be the case, I really don't see it going that way. Because that's what you're kind of paying for, the exclusivity, right? Mm-hmm. You're really paying for that specialized, almost one-on-one experience that is unlike anything except for maybe the wand ceremony. But I just don't see Disney being like, all right, if you want to come watch, you can, when they could just say, hey, if you're willing to pay $200, come on in. You know what I mean? So maybe one day in the future, but for right now, definitely not. Definitely not.
We are super excited about Galaxy's Edge. We are pumped for our trip in the fall to go see it down in Orlando. And we want to know about you. Are you guys going on a trip anytime soon? Maybe we'll run into you at Disney World. Or what are your thoughts about Galaxy's Edge? If you're big Disney fans like us, you're probably keeping up with it on YouTube, watching some of these walkthroughs, watching these experiences that so many great people are going through. So let us know in the comments. What are you most excited for when it comes to Galaxy's Edge? And do you think you would spend $200 for a lightsaber?
Let us know.
So again, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, and I'm Ethan.
I'm Ryan.
This is the Magical Express.